Hello, this is Tech Jadis, and if you had been watching Dragon Ball Super over the last several weeks, you will have noticed something about Super Saiyans in general. It might not be the last few weeks, maybe the last week or so. But it seems that what the Super Saiyan is continuously kind of changes. Like the goalposts on how it works get shifted around a bit as time goes on. But I've seen Dragon Ball Z, GT more times than I can count. I've watched every episode of Super at least twice, and I'm the kind of person who likes to try to bring some logic and understanding to this series, as I think I've been able to successfully, at least in my own mind, in almost every case up to this point. However, the new things that they bring kind of throws theories to, in a loop. So I want to talk today about trying to understand the Saiyan in general, and how Super Saiyan even works at this point. Physically, Saiyans are a little bit more athletic than a human. They seem to have a lot more ingrained muscle ability. They're stronger, they're faster, they're just born that way. They have an ingrained ability to strive for greatness. They have legends that go back thousands of years about Super Saiyans, and people who have graduated into powers that are just insane. The Super Saiyan God was also apparently a legend that went back forever. These things, they shine a light that Saiyans have an ingrained, evolved kind of ability to aim really high and get there over any other race that we've seen, maybe except for like the Frieza race, and of course what Cell was. But then again, Cell was borrowing from everybody else's greatness. But that brings me to one of the best attributes of a Saiyan, which is their Zenkai boosts. And this is something that I've heard a lot of people talk about, and they talk about it a lot, but at this point, I'm kind of thinking that maybe it's being discussed too often. The reasoning why is because this is a thing that in a lot of Dragon Ball Z fans' favorite season, the Frieza saga, which was one of my favorites. I mean, it was cool. The fighting was cool. A lot of story elements came out. A lot of things got tied up there. All the beginning elements of the Saiyans and everything. It was all reaching a resolution. Maybe it wasn't the most happiest resolution, but at the very least Frieza was stopped for the most part. But Zenkai boosts, they were abused, like, very regularly, especially by Vegeta, but Goku also got his share of absolutely abusing them. And it doesn't make any sense that they were as critical to the success of our heroes back in the day, but now it just seems to be so relegated that nobody even talks about it. I mean, the power increases for Vegeta and Goku, just thanks to Zenkai boosts in the Frieza series, were so amazingly astronomical that I don't even know why they train. If they could count on those kind of power increases, why not just injure yourself over and over again? And like, I mean, they got Dende. I mean, freaking just be like, okay, let's take turns critically injuring each other, Vegeta and Goku. They would be, at this point, they wouldn't even need to turn Super Saiyan. They'd be stronger than Beerus. If they could just did that all day, back and forth, and then just had Dende heal them. That they wouldn't have to worry about anything. If the rates of a Zenkai boost were percentage-wise the same as they were in the Frieza series, as they are in any other of the series, they could just continuously critically injure each other, and that would be that. They'd be the strongest things in the history of anything, and they wouldn't have to worry about anything. That's not the case. They actually do find some kind of benefit to training. And for Vegeta, especially in the cases of really needing power and really needing power fast, they didn't immediately go, let's take the Zenkai boost round. It was immediately, spirit and time. Train for a year in harsh conditions. Let's not, they could have Zenkai boosted each other probably maybe about 10-20 times up there and had Dende heal him, and then the strength would have been comparable if it worked that way. But it doesn't. My theory is, which I don't ever hear anybody even talking about theories when it comes to Zenkai boost, they just immediately assume that they're always, it being enacted in the show at all times. As far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty sure the writers had completely forgotten about them at this point, because nobody brings them up. Can't remember the last time it was even brought up. I think that maybe there's a kind of a cutoff period. Maybe the body, it will react in the way that Zenkai boosts work after you get injured so many times. But eventually, the body can't do any more for you. It like, callus is over. You can't just simply continue destroying yourself for power. The Zenkai boost seems like an evolutionary trait. Something that would, if somebody is being beaten but not killed, it continuously gives them the ability to be able to rise above what beat them the first time. But if you're continuously killing yourself, I can see it wearing out. I can see that it wouldn't be a very, when it comes to evolutionary traits, it wouldn't be very handy if you have a built-in thing that gives you a benefit to, like, cutting your wrists all day. That does not seem like an evolutionary benefit for a species. So I've got to say that when it comes to the Zenkai boosts, it just makes sense to me that either it just gets a lot weaker and you don't even notice them over time. Maybe the first few, like, absolute minusculely escaping death situations that you have, you get a really gigantic boost, but then it's like, like 80% the next time, 60% the next time, 20, then eventually you just don't even notice them. Eventually they just don't even happen. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, Zenkai boosts, they were how you beat Frieza the first time, and now nobody talks about them. But quite honestly, if they just put like Vegeta or Gohan or anybody into like a torture chamber where it just continuously killed them or almost killed them and then have Dende continuously heal them, we wouldn't be having these situations where we have to worry about training or power if Zenkai boosts worked the way they do. And I can't imagine, even though it would really be very stressful and very terrible, I can't imagine that none of our Saiyans that we have on our side would make that sacrifice. Hell, future Trunks would absolutely make that sacrifice in order to be Zamasu. Like, but nobody thinks of these things. But why not? It's like, it's as ingrained to Saiyans as Super Saiyan, but it's been forgotten. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's been forgotten for a reason. And I think that it just deludes over time, and now I don't think we're seeing Zenkai boosts anymore. And my next point about Saiyans is that they have a thing, and it seems to be most pronounced when it comes to Gohan, or maybe even the half Saiyans. It seems like they all have this common trait of this Saiyan rage, where their anger pushes their power over the top. And you don't see it as much with Saiyans, but you do see it, because that's kind of how Super Saiyan first happened. It's, well, kind of how it happens. Well, it used to happen. That's how it used to happen. Nowadays, you can just become Super Saiyan from tingling in your back, but I'll get to that. So Saiyan Rage is almost like a Kaioken kind of thing, where you're pushing your power. It just explodes, like some kind of hidden pocket of power that you didn't know was there, or something like that. It just overflows, and you end up able to perform feats you would never have been able to perform earlier. That being the case, and now that we've gone down like the physicality of things that make Saiyans particularly different from every other race, how does that apply to how Super Saiyan has become increasingly pedestrian? For Goku, he probably, out of everybody in the series, may have had the lowest power level when he actually did his transformation into Super Saiyan. It could have been also future Trunks. Either way, when it comes to the movie, if you wanted to take the movie as canon, how he transformed for Trunks, between Goku and Trunks, they suffered great loss. The Saiyan Rage that I talked about earlier, it was big. They were mad. They were pissed. They were, like, if Saiyan Rage is a thing, they were going through it at that point. Vegeta was pretty much mad at himself. My guess is it'd be something akin of him being pissed that he can't transform into Super Saiyan. Like, that's kind of what pushed him over the edge. It's kind of ironic and funny, but whatever. Out of everybody who transformed before the Cell series ended, Gohan was the strongest before his transformation happened. And I'd say it was probably the easiest out of all of them. He kind of just got mad at the idea of being angry. Like, that's kind of how he went over the edge. But he had an interesting, like, Saiyan Rage kind of thing he could tap into kind of on the side that wasn't quite, it didn't really have anything to do with him turning Super Saiyan. His rage powered him up to amazing lengths before he ever turned Super Saiyan, which is one of the things that, shoved him over into Super Saiyan 2, was tapping into that Saiyan Rage power. So when it comes to Gohan, tapping into that power seems to be more of innate thing for him, and it might be an innate thing for all half Saiyans. It's hard to say, We haven't really seen that with Goten yet. So, before we go on, when it comes to these four, I could say, I want to make the case that the reason why Super Saiyan even happens for these people is because the body, how do I put this? It was like as if the body was already churning so much energy that it had to make some kind of change in order to, for the body to survive the output. This is my theory, that Saiyan bodies have since they already have been shown to have innate abilities of powering up, powering up is what they do. And it is tied to emotion, powering up. At least when it comes to Gohan and Trunks, we've already seen. So, I don't really know if they would get that power from the human side, but because Super Saiyan is tied to anger, I would guess that they would get it from the Saiyan side. Since Saiyan Rage can give you tremendous power, I would say that Super Saiyan may be the body's ability to survive its own power increase. And that's why, Super Saiyan exists. Is your physical body can only do so much, and now you're going to short yourself out. You are breaking all of the measurements that we can do, and we got to do something. And why would that be different from Kaioken? Why wouldn't Kaioken have shoved Goku into Super Saiyan? That actually I am not 100%. My guess is that the rage, if Saiyan Rage is an actual thing that happens with every Saiyan, because I can't be positive that this is the case, then that would mean that his anger would have pushed his power harder than a Kaioken times 20, which Super Saiyan is that. It is more than a Kaioken times 20. So, where was he hiding all that power? Technically Goku was pretty chill. He was pretty chill when he was fighting Frieza. He got kind of nervous and scared, and he was excited to fight Frieza and all that junk, but he never really got mad. He never really let his emotions take over until Krillin died. So, he could have been harboring a lot of internal stuff. I don't know. Like I said, this is just a theory. I'm going to try to prove with the next entries to the Super Saiyan Club why this theory makes more sense. Alright, when it comes to Gohan, his Super Saiyan Rage, because it was so easy, it could have pushed his body over, and he was so strong at the time, his body probably didn't have that much, his physical non-Super Saiyan body probably couldn't get that much stronger unless he actually made the switch. So the amount of strength he needed to raise to break the meters, so to speak, and flip over to Super Saiyan, it was easier for him because he was stronger. Everybody else had a harder time because they were weaker, and they had to do a lot more with the rage than Gohan. Gohan just had to kind of get mad about the idea of getting mad in order to do it. It was easy for him because of his strength. Alright, so far that all makes sense to me. Now when it comes to Kid Trunks and Kid Goten, they were tremendously strong as kids. Amazingly tremendously strong. Goten might be a special case, because he was conceived by a Super Saiyan grade 4 who wouldn't turn it off. So he might have been inseminated as a Super Saiyan. It's hard to say. He might have had that ability from birth and just didn't know any different. Vegeta was not able to turn Super Saiyan when Trunks was conceived. So, as far as I know, I'm pretty sure that's the case. So his situation would have to be quite a bit different. So I'm not sure about him. But when it comes to Kaba, Kaba was amazingly strong, and he was in the middle of a tournament, able to be goaded into turning Super Saiyan. It was almost as if it was a triviality. As hard as it was for Vegeta to turn, he should have understood something when it came to Kaba, in that this isn't him in the meteor field. This isn't somebody watching their best friends get killed in front of him. This is just a kid fighting a tournament that really doesn't have too high a stakes. I know that they're oh yeah, do good or I'll kill you, blah blah blah. I know that that was kind of the jive that was going on, that their lives were on the line, but it didn't seem I don't know, it didn't seem like he was taking, even him, he wasn't taking it all too seriously that he was gonna die if he lost. However, Vegeta goaded him into turning Super Saiyan. Vegeta seemed to know he wasn't wasting his time. He knew he could flip the switch. And I think that's because he understood Kaba's strength was really high, and if he shared even a modicum of Saiyan ability like he has in Universe 7, that he should be able to flip that switch. Now, if that's the case, we have Khalifa and Kale. They're really strong too. They're apparently stronger than Kaba, but they haven't they flipped the switch at all. If what I'm saying is true, then that would mean one of two things. That would mean that they've never had any ability to stress themselves, because because at this point their meters, I mean, if they have meters that they need to be flipped over in order to hit Super Saiyan, if that's how it works, then they're already at max and staying steady at max. I mean, there's no other way around it. I mean, in order for them to be strong enough to stand a chance in the tournament, they've got to be strong as hell in regular Saiyan form for their Super Saiyan forms to make enough of a difference. But when it comes to Kaba just telling them, just, you know, let the power channel through your back, that may have shined a lot more light on everything than I thought in the beginning. Maybe if you can already turn, like maybe if you already have the power to make the turn happen, then that's it. I know he was trying to get her mad at first, but he kind of gave away the cheat sheet, I guess you could say. Like, just concentrate it into your back. It's weird. It is weird. Like, it doesn't make any sense if you take Goku's transforming into Super Saiyan and having it be about anger and be about stress and that only. If you take that into consideration and then you take how Khalifa did it, there is no connection. Khalifa did it because she channeled power through a certain part of her body. Goku did it because emotions. He had no power. He was weak as hell. I think it makes sense more. It makes more sense if there is a power kind of minimal power that you have to have in order to make the switch, and then when you add Saiyan Rage to that, or I guess Saiyan Rage flows easier through the back. Maybe that's how it works. Maybe Kaba knows that. Maybe that's why I told Khalifa, just shove some of your power that way, and it'll just happen. It'll flip your switch. So then you can turn Super Saiyan anytime. And also, this could also be that this is, because they are not exactly the same as regular Saiyans. They weren't born with tails. They're not exactly the same thing as Universe 7 Saiyans. They don't have the exact same DNA and all that junk. They're a little different. So maybe they can cheat this better. Maybe they're able to cheat it. Maybe Universe 7 Saiyans have a completely different thing they got to go through. But when it comes to if we're trying to make a similarity between Super Saiyan and how it works, and we try to put Universe 6 and 7 together, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't make a lot of sense unless it's all about like massive immediate power increases that the body cannot survive. That's my only guess. Other than that, it can't really be about emotions because freaking Khalifa, no emotion there. So emotions are off the table. Kaba did it through emotions, so I guess like their race, can work that way. Goten really didn't need emotions, so okay, Gohan did. As far as I can tell, if Saiyan Rage has anything to do with it, if that is the catalyst, then the emotions will unleash the Saiyan Rage. If you already have enough power where you don't need Saiyan Rage, then you got to utilize the power correctly, and then you can turn Super Saiyan. If that is how it works, then it makes perfect sense to me, and it works in everybody's case scenario. Then, I mean, that's what makes sense to me. So, what do you think? Comment below. Tell me if that I'm full of crap, because I'd love to be proven wrong. Because this to me, it kind of diminishes the coolness of Super Saiyan. So, make Super Saiyan cool for me. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong. And thanks for watching.